Today. Let's discuss some things, family. Let's start off with Neely Fuller. Racism has done more to promote non-justice than any other social material system known to have been produced or supported by the people of the known universe. As long as racism exists, anything said or done by people that is not intended to help eliminate racism and help to produce justice is a waste of time and energy. Let me start off by saying this. Not all cops are bad. Not all cops are racist. But there is enough to convince an entire race of people that they are. The only form of functional racism that exists among the people of the known universe is white supremacy. The fear, the frustration, the malice, and confusion caused by racism retards or prevents our constructive activity between the people of the known universe, says Neely Fuller. Family, this is my last video on this channel in regards of this sort of video. This is my last video of this kind on this particular video. I'm gonna leave it financial, but enough is enough. Okay, enough is enough. I am tired of my people. I am tired of our people getting killed, getting shot in the back. This gentleman right here, remember this gentleman here laying down with his arms up, who is a counselor for the mental disabled child right here, or young man right here? Does anyone remember that? Does anyone remember that? Does anyone, this older black gentleman running away from the police, getting shot with a handgun, not a taser? I would rather for my brother to be hit in the back of the knees with a knife stick than be shot in his back. Do you see the police here rendering aid to him? Enough is enough. We voted for Barack Obama for 2 terms. Most of us did. Most of us did. And I'm going to break this down. This is all I have to do with Jacob Blake. I want you to see this, family. I want you to see this. Now, of course, it's hard to find information like this in the American media. This guy is paralyzed from his waist down. He was in handcuffs on his bed. It says Jacob Black, the black man shot in the back by police in Wisconsin, has reportedly been released from handcuffs while in the hospital. The man is paralyzed from his waist down, but yet they put police cuffs on him. Police in Kenosha has said that Mr. Blake was in custody for previous warrants and the handcuffs were a policy. He was in custody for previous warrants. Was he in custody before or after a police officer shot him 7 times in his back? Riddle me that. His attorney told U.S. media that these warrants had been canceled and that the officer guarding Mr. Blake had left. I wonder why. I wonder why. I wonder why. That the handcuffs of a paralyzed man that was shot in the back in front of his family and his kids was policy. What type of warrants were these? What type of warrants were these? And as we scroll down here, Kyle Rittenhouse, the race soldier, the white supremacist, had been due to appear before a court in Lake County, Illinois, for a hearing on a request to him have extradited to Wisconsin, but a judge postponed the extradition hearing until 25 September. I wonder if he's at home in his own recognizance. Mr. Rittenhouse did not appear during Friday's video conference. Did they say that he's actually behind bars? Is he incarcerated? Let's go down a little bit more. Forget what he's facing. He should be facing murder and attempted murder. But look at this, family. Mr. Rittenhouse is being defended by a prominent legal firm whose clients have included President Donald Trump, personal attorney, okay, Rudy Giuliani, and former Trump advisor Carter Page. Now, I'm not talking about Trump. We already know about him. This has nothing to do with him, but of course, the BBC had to point that out, okay? That's just more news. Let's not get sidetracked. Mr. Blake's shooting in the city of Kenosha sparked demonstration there and other cities across the U.S. We have to understand that these riots, that this protesting, all started because a police officer once again tried to kill an unarmed Black man. Family, most of them that we encounter, keyword that we encounter, do not see us as human beings. They do not see us as human beings. This is what we go through, not just in America, but around the world as Black people. Around the world as Black people. And the reason why I brought up President Obama is because after this killing, the Milwaukee Bucks decided to protest and not play basketball. And LeBron James was like, we shouldn't even finish the season. We should protest, him along with the OKC guard, Chris Paul. And granted, I love basketball. I love to be entertained, but this is not the year to be entertained. This is the year of a reckoning. This is a year of change. This is the year that we must join together on one accord, regardless of our differences, and move the mark forward. We need to move the mark forward. See, what happens, family, is that we get out here, we protest, we loot, we riot. Not all of us. We understand there's a lot of agitators out there, okay? But they love to put the Black face on TV near a burning building. Now, granted, unfortunately, some of our brothers and sisters, not many, are doing the looting and rioting, but we understand that the agitators and the people who they're for our cause are doing more of the looting and rioting than we are. So let's get that straight. Let's get that straight. Now, I want to point this out to you because this is imperative that you understand this information. Now, I looked on 4 media sources, and all of them are collabing that Barack Obama convinced LeBron James to save the NBA season. Why? Why? Are you not yet entertained? Why? You know why? Because we need to understand that first and foremost, Barack Hussein Obama is not a foundational Black American. His father is from Africa and his mother is from Kansas, who is white. He did not grow up in the ghetto. He did not grow up in the hood. Now, his wife, Michelle, is a foundational Black American. She could probably relate to some of the struggles that we have in our communities, but not him. Not him. Not him. You would think that he will sympathize and empathize with the Black community, but he does not. LeBron James, who's on his 17th season, who probably will win an NBA championship again, or at least go to the finals, decided not to play until Barack Obama gave him and Chris Paul a call saying, don't cancel the season. And we're going to get into this story. It's quite ridiculous because we understand as a people, as Black people, that our only power is boycotting. See, we protest so the world can see what's going on in America. We protest so the world can see what's going on in our states and our community. But our power base is in boycotting. It's hurting the dollar when we don't spend our money, when we don't play sports. When we don't play sports. Y'all remember that scene in Django Unchained when they were fighting, the 2 slaves, and they were betting on each other? Very accurate. They have always used us for sports. They have always used us for sports. So our coon daddy called LeBron James and Chris Paul. LeBron James led a small group of players who solicited advice from the country's 44th president when it was uncertain whether the playoffs would return, and those guys played basketball. See, the Bucks refused to play games on Wednesday in wake of protests against social injustice and police brutality, and all 3 games that day were postponed. Let's call it what it is. It's police violence. It's police murder. Later that night, the Clippers and the Lakers reportedly indicated during a meeting that they were in favor of leaving the bubble in Orlando. They were going to leave the bubble in Orlando, meaning they were no longer going to play. In order to shift to combating systematic racism. They didn't want you guys to be entertained by the NBA playoffs. They wanted you solely protesting and boycotting systematic racism. And we're wondering, right, the day after, basketball was back on. A lot of us was wondering, hey, behold, you guys boycotted one day? Nothing gets done in one day in America when it comes to racism and white supremacy. Does it? Does it? But Obama spoke to James and the National Basketball Players Association president, Chris Paul, and a few others later that night and suggested they play. He said, nah, man, I'm highly invested in the NBA. Go ahead and play. A lot of my rich buddies are investing in NBA. Go ahead and play. I have a lot of contracts on the side with the NBA. Go ahead and play. You saw me when I was in the White House. I love basketball. I was shooting jump shots. Go ahead and play. Go ahead and play. I need to see you guys play. I need to be entertained. While we have knees on George Floyd's neck, while we have 7 to 8 shots in Jacob Blake's back, I need you guys to play. I need for the white supremacists to be entertained and take their mind off of what they have done to us and continue to do to us. Police violence is killing Black people, and we are being solicited into this by our own first so-called Black president, who was never foundationally Black. He gave everyone reparations except us. He gave Jews $12 million of reparations. And I'm not saying anybody is undeserving of anything. I'm just calling the facts. He gave a Native American tribe out of Utah 1 million acres of land while he was in office. What did you get, family? Absolutely jack and shit. That is what you got. That is what you got. That is what you got. He said he told them to use this opportunity as a way to create real change. And the players told Obama they wanted to form a committee for player action and involve him in it. That is when they made the mistake. That is when they made the mistake, family, when they folded on this and they said, you know what? We want to do a committee. Don't we have enough committees? Don't we have enough committees? I want Obama to break it down. How can they instill real change by playing basketball? See, when you start affecting white supremacists on a social economic level, that is when they listen. That is when things change. See, nobody likes the rioting. I don't like rioting. I don't like putting out people in danger. But when the rioting was happening and buildings were burning down, didn't you hear a lot of right and left? We like, hey, let's keep the peace. Let's do that. They was doing all of that, right? Because they're talking about money. They're talking about money. I've been saying this for everything. Everything is tied to money. Everything is tied to money. Why would Obama agree that they boycott one day on his Twitter account? Did anybody see that? Did anybody see that? Do I need to go research that? They agreed to that boycott, and then the very next day, hey man, y'all should go ahead. And then on the other hand, the same day, this man went out and said, y'all should go ahead and play basketball, man. Y'all can affect real change, man. The reason why I'm sounding like that, what he sound like? Like he buck dancing for him, right? Like he buck dancing for the white supremacy. Man, y'all go ahead and play the game, man. I love basketball, man. LeBron, this could be your 4th championship, man. Don't let this go. LeBron is a bigger man than that, but how did they get convinced? Black faces in white places. Black faces in white places. They use us to convince us. Why do you think the Democratic Party pushed Kamala Harris on black people? Why? Why do you think they did that? Why do you think they did that? Because they understand that black Americans, they think that we're stupid. They think that we're illiterate. They think that we're idiots. They think they're going to fool us again and put a black face in a white place. And then the black media, people who are out here doing videos, they are discrediting Kamala Harris, rightfully so. But then the Democrats would say, oh, you should not call her black. Her father's Jamaican. And of course, Jamaican, that's a nationality, but those brothers came over from Africa. But we need to understand, we're talking about foundational black Americans who understand the struggle. She doesn't understand the struggle. I don't want to get into the weeds about whether she's more Indian or more Jamaican or African. The sisters mix, who cares? We can call her black all we want. Just because a person is black doesn't mean they're for you. Herman Cain was black. He wasn't for you. John Lewis was black. He wasn't for you. Clarence Thompson, they not for you. We're talking about those boulets out there. And they know who they are. They're laughing and drinking scotch, smoking cigars while we are struggling. While we as a people are struggling. While we as a people are struggling. Let's talk about this, fam. Why are they getting away with this mess right here? Remember this gentleman here? He was with the police for 44 minutes. He was with the police for 44 minutes before they shot and killed this brother. And we're gonna get through some names. We're gonna talk about a few things and the situations that surround it, and the situation that surround these things. This is what we need to understand, family. This is what we need to understand. Let's talk about it. Let's educate ourselves about this. Let's educate ourselves about this. Police have qualified immunity. Anyone heard of that? Qualified immunity. It says here, in the United States, the doctrine of qualified immunity grants government officials performing discretionary functions immunity from civil suits unless the plaintiff shows that the official violated clearly established statutory or constitutional rights of which a reasonable person would have known. Come on now. Listen to this. What is an example of qualified immunity? Qualified immunity has led to absurd government abuse. I'm going to say it again. Absurd government abuse. For example, in California, police use qualified immunity as a defense for stealing $250,000 in cash and rare coin from someone's bedroom while executing a search warrant. $250,000 of coins, rare coins. Here, this is interesting. This is interesting. Claiming this doctrine, what happens if police lose qualified immunity? Claiming this doctrine is one of the first things that police officers do when they are sued. If they convince the judge that they are immune from the lawsuit, the judge will likely dismiss the case. The victims will recover nothing for their losses if this happens. I'm going down the line, family. I want to break this down to you. How do you overcome qualified immunity? The two-part test to overcome immunity is generally when a plaintiff wants to remove qualified immunity and open a police officer to a civil lawsuit, the plaintiff must meet a two-part test. But don't forget, police don't have no damn test. You're either dead or in jail. You're either dead or in jail. I fear for my life, so that's why I shot. I fear for my life, that's why I taser and billy clubbed them. They must show evidence that a jury will be likely to find the officer's use of force will violate the Fourth Amendment. Y'all remember Rodney King? Y'all remember Rodney King? Thank God someone had a video. There has been plenty of Rodney Kings out there, family, and thank God they had a video for that one. But guess what? That hasn't helped us not one bit, not one iota. He got his butt whipped. He got some money. He shut his mouth, and he became a coon because he did nothing for Black people in that butt whipping. He should have took that money. Yeah. It's about the money. Take that money and start supporting people who are fighting, who are risking their lives for foundational Black Americans to have equal justice, if that's even a thing, in this country we call home. In this country we call home. We have to support a whole movement talking about Black Lives Matter. We have to let our white supremacists, we have to let these race soldiers know that our lives matter. That because we have melanin in our skin, that our life matters. It's a cry out to the world. It's a cry out to the world. But the powers that be, Western powers, are inherently racist. Because we need to understand that Caucasians in America are just European immigrants from Europe. They're the descendants of slave masters in Europe. That's what we need to understand, family. That is what we need to understand. We need to talk about these things, because if we don't continue to talk about it, the flame dies down. Talk to your kids about it. Talk to your uncle, your aunts, your mother, your father. Don't let them just go out the vote to vote. I'm going out the vote because the Democrats have convinced me that Donald Trump is racist, but we forget about Joe Biden's 1994 crime bill that have incarcerated more Black men than any other legislation in America. So let's go ahead and vote for Joe Biden. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's vote for a party that day in, day out, year in, year out, have never, ever produced tangibles to the Black community and the Black community only. Because every time I ask somebody, every time I ask a foundational Black American, I say, what has the Democrats done for you? Well, they gave us affordable health care when Obama was in office. He gave everybody affordable health care. And then when I break down all the things that Obama did for other people, specifically not Black people, oh, well, it had to get voted through Congress. It had to go. No. You ever heard of earmarks? Have you ever heard of executive orders? Believe me, the president don't need Congress. The president don't need parties. The president doesn't need the Senate. Slightly, some parts in earmarks, he may need Congress, and he also need the Senate. Slightly. But when it comes to executive orders, look what Donald Trump did. I'm going to do what he do. He said, I'm going to do executive orders. This is all a ploy for him to get reelected. But let's not forget our brothers and sisters who have died. Who have died in the streets from police brutality. Let's not forget them. Let's not forget them. George Floyd died when he was 46, got killed when he was 46. Brianna Taylor, 26, got killed. I'm just going to let you, all of these Black Americans got killed when they got killed by the police. I'm going to put it out there. They got killed by the police. So I don't have to keep saying it for you guys to understand. Brianna Taylor, 26. Tatiana Jefferson, 28. Aurora Rosser, 40. Stephen Clark, 22. Botham Jean, 26. Philando Castile, 32. Alton Sterling, 37. Michelle Cassatt, 50. Freddie Gray, 25. Janisha Fonville, 20. Eric Garner, 43. Akil Gurley, 28. Gabrielle Navarez, 22. Tamira Rice, 12. 12 years of age, because he was out there playing with a toy gun like nobody. Kids don't play with toy guns and toy water guns. But since he's a black young male, he's a threat. Michael Brown, 18. They're killing our kids and they're killing our young adults. Tanisha Anderson, 37. What are we talking about, family? What are we talking about? We're talking about police violence and police murder on Black people. See, people want to reform the police. People want to reconstruct the police. They want to defund the police. I say, damn all of that. I say, damn all of that. Wipe away qualified immunity, and when these cops do wrong, you lock their ass up for life and see they continue to do it. You're firing them, you're sending them home, and they're going to the adjacent precincts. They're going to the adjacent cities and communities and being another cop. They go over to their white buddy and they say, hey, man, I lost my job over here. Man, what happened? I killed some black guy. He tried to pull a gun on me, but they try to say he didn't have a gun. Oh, man, you can work for us. It's a homeboy network. It's a homeboy network, AKA white supremacist network. And again, my disclaimer, not all cops are racist and not all cops are bad, but there's enough of them to convince athletes that they are. Have you heard about these athletes, LeBron James, Robert Horry? They're talking about, I'm scared that the police gonna kill me. I agree with Tariq Nasheed. Don't tell these people you are freaking scared. Don't tell these people you are freaking scared. Because what they're saying, we got them on a run. We got them on the run. We got them scared. Because guess what? Why you think they're killing us? Why you think they're killing us? Do you think they're killing us because we are scared of them or they're scared of us? Think about that for a moment. Think about that for a moment. Don't you kill threats? When you have a spider in your home, he hasn't done nothing to you yet, but what do you do? Do you trap him in a mason jar and release him in your yard? Or do you step on him and kill him so he won't become a threat later? Are y'all with me? Are y'all with me? Oh man, that's just a house spider. Can he bite? Oh man, have you seen a garden snake? Do you try to kill that garden snake or do you run away from that garden snake? Probably both. But I tell you this, if you had a weapon in your hand, you'll try to kill it. Because you know later on when your babies are out in the backyard playing that it could possibly hurt your babies. We are threats, ladies and gentlemen. We are threats. Not because we are inherently criminal, because we're not. People of the melanin, people of African descent have always been known throughout the course of time to be a very peaceful people. Tupac said it the best. I'm not a killer, but do not push me. I'm not a killer, but do not push me. I need for you guys to understand that because they're killing our people and you guys are letting the Republicans, you guys are letting the Democrats, you guys are letting coons, black coons, you're letting white supremacists tell you otherwise. George Floyd was handcuffed on the ground as Derek Chauvin kneed on his neck for about 8 minutes, 8 to 9 minutes. And Floyd pleaded with the other 4 officers that he could not breathe. Even the autopsy listed his death as a homicide. Listed his death as a homicide. And what a lot of people don't know, they gave other causes too. Okay? Now, thank God, because of all the worldwide protests, all 4 officers that were involved, of course, they were fired. Okay, whatever. What that's going to do? That doesn't give us justice. That doesn't give us peace. No justice, no peace. And that doesn't mean go out and riot and loot. That means continue boycotting, continue protesting. That's what that means. Now, some of the charges include second-degree murder. The other 3 officers were charged with abetting second-degree murder and manslaughter for our brother, George Floyd. What about Brianna Taylor, the young lady who lost her life inside of her own establishment, inside of her own home? See, Taylor and her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, was sleeping when 3 plainclothes officers arrived at their apartment to execute a search warrant, or a no-knock warrant, as they call it, in a drug case. They believed that it was a break-in, and Walker called 911, okay? Her boyfriend called 911 and fired his licensed firearm. Taylor, who was unarmed, was shot 8 times. There's still no justice for this young sister. There's still no justice. They said officers involved in the incident were reassigned pending the result of an investigation. There's still no justice for our young sister. There's still no justice for our young sister. People are still crying out for Brianna Taylor. What about our sister, Aurora Rosser? Now, her boyfriend called 911 to ask the police to escort her out of the house because of an altercation. The official report says that when the officer entered the home, Rosser was holding a knife and refused to drop it. So the officer used his taser. Then Officer David Reed fired a single shot that killed her. So one officer did the right thing, because we understand that with a knife, you have to get up close and personal. And I'm pretty sure that the sister didn't know how to throw a knife from a distance and kill anyone. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't think she knew any martial arts to throw a knife 15 feet and kill someone. So one officer pulled out a taser to subdue her peacefully without killing her, okay? But the other officer, old David, pulled out his gun with one shot and killed her. Because officers are trained similar to the military. They're trained similar to the military. Head shots and heart shots. Head shots and heart shots. Stay with me, family. We're going through these people's lives here that they lost. What about Stephen Clark? He was 22 years of age. He was standing in his grandmother's backyard. The police officers on the scene said they believed Clark was holding a gun. They believed Clark was holding a gun as they shot at him more than 20 times. Clark was only holding a mobile phone. He was only holding a mobile phone. And then the district attorney declined to file criminal charges against the police officers. Now, I'm really trying to figure out this case right here, because the Clark family reached a $2.4 million settlement with the city of Sacramento. Now, hopefully they did something meaningful with that money. I'm showing you pictures here as I talk to you, family, because I want to show you what's going on in the world. Look at our beautiful sister right here, Brianna Taylor, right here. And our other brother with his kids, his 4 kids, Jacob Blake, who's now paralyzed from the waist down. We're talking about those who lost their life. What about Botham Jean, 26-year-old brother here in Dallas, Texas? Now, this one strikes me as quietly odd. Seated on his sofa at home, eating ice cream. Eating fucking ice cream on his sofa. Watching TV, probably. Jean was shot by an off-duty police officer, Amber Geiger, after she entered his apartment, believing, according to her, that it was hers and he was a dangerous intruder. Let me ask y'all something. When the last time somebody broke in your house in his boxes eating ice cream and you say, oh, he dangerous? Talk to me, family. When the last time that happened to you? When the last time that happened to you? When is the last time that happened to you when someone broke into your home in their boxes eating ice cream? That makes no damn sense. That one's still peculiar and oddly weird to me. I think there's more to the story, but I have a few more to cover. Let me move on. Our brother, our lost one, Philando Castile. This brother was only 32 years of age. He was pulled over at a traffic stop, no less. Police dash cam video of a traffic stop shows a police officer shooting Castile seconds after he informed him that he had a legal firearm. I can relate to this one, ladies and gentlemen. I can relate to this one. I remember I was driving to a comedy show in Seattle, Washington. I got pulled over. Now, since I am originally from Washington, D.C., I automatically rolled down my windows, both windows, put both of my hands on the steering wheel. As the officer came over, he had a hand, he was holding his flashlight, one hand on his gun. He asked me a series of questions. He said, do you know why you pulled me over? I said, no. He said, where you were speeding? I said, I was speeding. He said, how fast do you believe you were going? I said, I was going 50. He said, the speed limit is 35. I said, oh, I guess I was speeding. Then he said, do you have any weapons inside the car? I said, yes, I do. I have a 45 XDS Springfield. I have a 45 caliber XDS Springfield. He said, where is that located? I said, right here in my driver door. He said, oh, that's a really good weapon. I said, yeah, I like it. He said, okay, give me your license and registration. I looked at him. I said, sir, my gun is in my driver's seat door. My insurance is inside of my glove compartment. Can I go inside my glove compartment? He said, yes. He's shining the light. I go inside there. I hand him my information. He goes back to his car. He said, hey, I'm not going to give you a ticket. I haven't seen you have a speeding ticket in the last 10 years during that time. I said, yeah, I don't really speed. I don't like to be pulled over because you might just freaking die. I don't like to be pulled over because in this day and age in America, you might just get killed. So he let me go on my way. He was a white officer. That's why I don't believe all cops are inherently racist or are inherently bad. Because I don't believe that a white supremacist will let me off so easily. Because still in Seattle, Washington area, I was pulled over by a police officer on a bike, and he had the audacity to come over to me in broad daylight. He pulled over 3 series of vehicles because we were all speeding because the speed limit changed from 50 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour. He came over to my car, highly upset, and he said, boy, Why are you speeding? I said, excuse me, boy. He put his hand on his weapon. And so I kind of like, oh, okay, now we're doing this. He like, whoop, put out your license registration. Have it when I come back out. So thank God he went to the other vehicles. And when he came back, I made sure I had my license registration, both hands out the window. Stop telling these damn white supremacists you are scared. We got Robert Horry, LeBron James, and a few others talking about they're scared. Listen, even if you are scared, don't tell them that. That's what they want. Protect yourself at all times, because at any given moment, they could have made up anything to shoot and kill you, regardless of how good you are doing, regardless of what you are following their orders. It does not matter. But if you go out, don't go out fucking scared. Let's get back on Cole, family. Our brother, our lost one, Alton Sterling. Now, this brother was selling CDs and DVDs. I can relate to that too. I used to do that. I was doing it as a young soldier in the Army. I knew how to download stuff from various websites and put them on CDs and DVDs, and I would sell them to people around the barracks on base. Sterling was shot by Officer Blaine Solomon, one of two officers who confronted him outside a shop. He was tasered and pinned to the ground before being shot 6 times. Listen, you gotta tase him and then shoot him. You couldn't keep tasing him. You couldn't use your nightstick. You couldn't use pepper spray. You had to use deadly force. Listen to this. He was tasered and pinned to the ground before being shot 6 times. He was already pinned to the ground and they shot him 6 times. And they shot him 6 times. Have you noticed? Rarely they shoot you once. Rarely. Rarely. They shoot 3 times and up. Pop, 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 and that's it. You're dead. They said Solomon could be heard threatening to shoot Sterling in the head, and then after the shooting, repeatedly calling him a stupid motherfucker. After he shot him, that is what he called our brother. I just told you that the police are trained like the military. They are trained to shoot you in your chest where your heart is and also your head. And the police threaten him. How are you a professional service when you are threatening to shoot people in the head? Not just shoot them, but you told him, I'm going to shoot you in your head. What did the white supremacists do in this case? Solomon was fired. The other officer involved was suspended for 3 days. No charges were filed. Do you guys understand that this NBA boycott would have been the biggest thing to show white supremacists the power that Black people have when we are unified? But unfortunately, the so-called first Black president called LeBron James and Chris Paul and said, go ahead, brother. Go ahead and bounce the ball for the white people. I got a few contractors, got a few people that I'm in business with. You hurting. You can make more change by playing basketball. Are you serious right now? We made more change by not playing basketball than we ever played basketball. Why do you think everybody was rushing to get sports on the line? Because when people don't play sports, white supremacists, large organizations don't get paid money for advertisement and marketing. This is about money. You hurt their money. What did Rosa Parks do? What, 380 something days? That city, Montgomery, Alabama, did not ride the bus. You hurt their money. They said, man, you know what? You know what? Let these Black people ride the bus and sit anywhere they want to sit. They hurting our money. Because guess what? The bus system was whitely owned, but who was using the bus mostly? Black people. Black people. Black people. You got to hit them where it hurts. You have to hit them where it hurts. You think you're going to hurt them? You think your cost is big if you go out and bounce a ball? Man, get the hell out of here. What about our older sister, Michelle Cassette, 50 years of age? She was at home. See, 4 police officers arrived to serve a court-ordered transport to an inpatient mental health facility. Now, possibly confused, okay, Michelle had an exchange with the officers. She had an exchange. She didn't have a weapon. Then they said, who decided to remove her security door? They said she charged toward them with a hammer. Oh my gosh. They shot a they shot a single shot at her, and she died shortly after. This guy was Percy Dupra, D-U-P-R-A. I probably jacked his name up. Who cares? He's a killer. He is a killer. Somebody charged you with a hammer. A 50-year-old woman, on your utility belt, you have pepper spray, you have a nightstick, you have a taser, and we know that police officers get taught hand-to-hand combat, how to subdue people, how to take weapons from people. And a 50-year-old black lady charged you with a hammer, and you thought your life was in danger, so you shot her. And you have to understand, family, understand the full story on this one, because they were there to serve a court-ordered transport to an inpatient mental health facility. That means that she was mentally ill. They knew this on the scene. They knew that she was mentally ill when they arrived on the scene because they were her escorts. And they killed her. What happened to the officer who shot her? Dupra was demoted. He wasn't fired. He wasn't let go, because we all go back to what? Qualified immunity. Our brother Freddie Gray, 25 years of age. He was in a police van. Gray had been arrested and placed in the back of a police van. He was found dead. 45 minutes later, his spinal cord nearly severed. His hands and feet had been shackled, and without a seatbelt, he could not protect himself as he was tossed around inside the vehicle. Anybody see that new show out called Love Country? Anyone see that new show out? It's really, really weird. It's dark. It's about Black people live in a very racist time and also fighting monsters. Now, I think was it Keenan and Peele? One of them are directing. You know, those brothers are talented, but sometimes it can be weird as well. But nonetheless, the last episode, which is the 3rd episode, they showed the light-skinned chick in there in the back of the police van. She was handcuffed on her feet and hands while the white police officer held onto a strap. The other police officer who was driving slammed on the brakes, turned hard left, turned hard right, while she's being bobbled around inside the back of the police vehicle. That is what's going on. Have anybody seen the show with Kevin Costner? I forgot the name of the show. With Kevin Costner. Look at these guys. Look at these 2 white supremacist guys, father and son. But anyway, one of the ranchers took some ranch thieves and put them back of a horse stall, drove really fast, was driving around left and right. The same thing occurred, and they killed them inside of it. This happened on purpose, family. This happened on purpose. They show it in the movies all the time. These are the tricks of the 50s and 60s and 70s where they was doing to Black people. They've been doing this for years. They put us in back of police vehicles, and they do not put a seatbelt on us. So when they slam on brake, you hit your forehead, your nose, and your lip on the back of the metal of the police vehicle or inside the police van. This is nothing new, family. This is nothing new. Thank you, Tim Berg. Thank you, Tim Berg. Thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate that, my brother. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate all you guys staying with me. We got Jenny Crash Beauty. We got Red. We got Wendell. We got Big Uzi. We got Steve VRB AB. Thank you, Nolan Baptiste. I see you on your job, good sir. We got Lance Kelly. We got Scooter. We got Mr. Gerardo, Duran. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm almost done here, guys. What about Janisha Fonville? The sister was 20. She was at home. What about that one? Officers Anthony Hauser and Sean Sheriff answer a distress call to take Fonville to a mental health facility. Think about this. When these police officers got the call, they were told to take this sister, 20 years of age, and if you saw a picture of her, let me see if I can find a picture of her. Let me see if I can find a picture of her. She's a very small female. Okay? This is her, ladies and gentlemen. Look how small this sister is. Look how small this sister is. Very beautiful young Black sister. She's probably about $110, $120, no bigger. 20 years of age. They got called to take her to a mental health facility. Now, according to Fonville's partner, Cornisha Banks, Fonville had a knife earlier, and she was worried she might harm herself. Well, Hauser shot Fonville. The official account says Fonville lunged at the officer with a knife. Now, let me ask you this. Let's get some context to this. Let's get some context to this. She lunged at the officer with the knife. So if she lunged, that means you weaved out of the way, you moved out of the way, okay? You moved out of the way, and then you pulled out your gun, you shot her. Banks said she did not see a knife in Fonville's hand when she was shot. This is what happens to us, family. This is what happens to us. The sister was 20. The sister was 20. We're moving along. What about Ikea Gurley? This brother was 28. He was walking down the stairs in the building that he lived. He was walking down the stairs in a building where he lived. Police officers, Peter Lang, I don't know how to pronounce this gentleman's name, but Liang, and his partner were conducting a vertical patrol in a housing project. They were conducting a vertical patrol. Where'd they come up with this bull crap? They said, I'm just gonna call him Lang. I know his name not Lang, it's probably Lang, whatever. Said entered an unlit stairwell and fired his weapon. Hold up. So they're doing a vertical patrol. They're not going after anyone. They're not chasing anyone. They're not looking at anyone. They're simply on patrol. They go inside an unlit stairwell. Come on, guys. And they said projects. You know this is a Black community. You know that this was a Black community. You know this is a Black projects. He entered an unlit stairwell and fired his weapon in an unlit stairwell. It could have been your baby. It could have been your brother, your sister, your daughter, your son. They said the bullet bounced off a wall and killed Gurley. A ricochet killed him because this officer was scared of the dark. Look at this bullshit right here. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This black man right, you see this picture right here? Unarmed. He got his weapon drawn. This guy right here, unarmed, weapon drawn. This guy right here got shot, hands up, weapon drawn. Look at this, family. Look at this. How many more black people got to die for any of these political parties to do something for us? Stop voting to freaking vote. Stop voting to freaking vote. I'm voting because Donald Trump is a race and I need him out of office. When are you going to start voting for a black agenda? When are you going to start voting for black reparation? When are you going to start voting to lock up criminal, murderous police officers so they can stop killing our own? When are you going to vote for tangibles? Stop voting to vote because the Democrats want you to vote and convince that Donald Trump is a white supremacist, that Donald Trump is racist. It doesn't matter who was in office, even the so-called black president, Barack Obama, nothing has changed systematically for black people. Nothing has changed. When he was in office, they killed us. When he was in office, we were still at an economic disadvantage. It doesn't matter who the president was at the time. Hold your vote for hostage. Hold your vote to sale. That's right. You want my vote? Quid pro quo. You give me something, I give you a vote. Look at this, gentleman. This is the guy that said he had his hands up. Look at this picture up here. Hands up. Look at it. This is crazy. Let me tell y'all something, black people. Now, your chances are slightly better when you put your hands up, but as you notice, it doesn't really get that better, does it? Gabriela Navarez. Gabriela Navarez. What was this sister doing? She was driving. When officer asked Navarez to pull over, she rammed into a police car. The police officer opened fire on her. At least opened fire on her car, because they claimed that she used her car as a deadly weapon. But if anybody's seen lately videos of Caucasian males run into police officer cars and the police never shoot at them, getting into a tussle with police officer and the police never shoot at them. What was the action taken on this one? It said at least 2 officers were put on administrative leave. Now, I forgot to tell you what happened to the dude with our brother, Akia Gurley. Now, Lang was fired and he was convicted of manslaughter and official misconduct in 2016. He was sentenced to 5 years probation, not even in jail. He lost his job and he got probation for murder. For murder. He got probation for murder. Do you understand that black men have done less, that black women have done less, that black people have done less? And we go to jail for those 5 years. We go to prison for those 10 years. What about our kids? What about Tamir Rice? What about that young brother? He was playing with a toy gun in the park. Within 2 seconds of arriving at the park, Officer Timothy Lohman had fatally shot Rice. Police then tackled, after they shot this 14-year-old, he was 12 years of age. After they shot this 12-year-old boy, the police then tackled his 14-year-old sister. They put her to the ground and handcuffed her and put her in the back of a police car. It took 4 minutes for officers to administer first aid to Rice. He died in the hospital the next day. This 12-year-old, and they knew that he was a young adult. They knew that he was young. They waited 4 minutes to administer any first aid. And you have to understand, family, that police officers get trained in first aid. Now, if I go back up into this picture of this gentleman right here, now we got a black officer and a white officer. Who you think did the shooting? Who do you think did the shooting, family? The white officer. Then we have a picture. This guy is shot in the back. Look what the officer's doing. Seeing if he's dead. But did he ever render any help? Hell no. Hell no. What about Michael Brown? Michael Brown was 18, walking with a friend. Of course, a white police officer confronted Brown and his friend. A scuffle then happened, and the officer, Darren Wilson, shot and killed Brown. And of course, Wilson said, I acted in self-defense. I was fearful for my life. Man, if I had a freaking dollar for every time I heard that full of shit, I would be a rich man. And millions of Black Americans would still be dead. What was the action taken? What happened? What happened to the police officer? No charges were brought. Wilson resigned from the Ferguson Police Department. You know why? So he can still get that pension. He resigned. He didn't get fired. No charges were brought. What about Tanisha Anderson? What about Tanisha Anderson? She was 37 years of age. See, her family called 911 for help because Tanisha, who was bipolar, again, mental health issue, was restless and trying to leave the house. So the family's like, we can't control her, call the police for help. But Officer Scott Alrich and Brian Myers convinced Anderson to return to a mental health facility. They walked her to their vehicle, but what followed is disputed. The officer said she fell to the ground while her family said she was slammed down. Investigators estimated that she was handcuffed on the ground for about 21 minutes before paramedics arrived. Now, Alrich, one of the police officers, was suspended for 10 days without pay. Whoopity fucking do. He was suspended for 10 days without pay. Myers, listen to this full of crap. Listen to this white supremacy justice system that only help out their own and never give equal justice to Black people. Listen to this, family. Myers was issued a written warning. A written warning. The city settled the lawsuit of wrongful death at $2.25 million. There's a lot more, family, but I'm gonna stop right there because I still haven't mentioned Sandra Bland, who mysteriously died in her jail cell, who supposedly killed herself. This is how they kill us, family. So you go out there and you vote for Joe Biden. You go out there and you vote for Donald Trump. Here's my advice. What you going to get for that vote? Oh, well, I'm going to go ahead and get Trump out of office. Okay, now what? Oh, I'm going to vote Joe Biden in because Joe Biden, and now what? What is he going to do specifically for Black people? How is he going to help our housing areas? How? Tell me how, family. I want you to tell me how. How is it going to help our school systems? How is it going to help our unsafe communities? How is he going to help our Black businesses? How is he going to increase resources for the Black community? How is he going to increase inadequate living structures in the Black community? How is it going to help people that when supposedly, I won't even say their name, but we know there's a three-letter agency out there, that's an extension of the federal government that introduced crack cocaine to Black people, to the Black community. But if you vote for Joe Biden talking about that crack cocaine from the Bahamas. People, what type of people live in the Bahamas? Isn't it Black people? Isn't it Black people? Go ahead and vote. Go ahead and vote. What about the red line of neighborhoods? There's still some places Black people can't live no matter what type of money you got. Are they going to stop gentrification? Are they going to stop that young Black males being charged as adult 3 times more than whites? Are they going to stop that? Or they're going to start legislation and policies to eradicate white supremacy and racist legislation that's still in our federal government and constitutional laws today? Are they going to do that? Have you heard that? Have you heard the news interview? I forgot the Black anchor's name with Kamala Harris, and she said, what are you going to do to get the Black male vote? Oh, we need all the votes. That's what she said. You have to understand, when you operate in a system like that and you need everybody's support, you automatically and systematically become a coon. Because the real foundational Black Americans that are for Black people never reach that high. They never get that high. They never get that high in government because the system won't allow them to. You understand that? The system won't allow them to get that high. They have to sell off some coonery and buck dance in order to get that high. I hope you guys understand that. I hope you guys understand that. I want to thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Nolan Baptiste, for moderating today. I see you on your job, kind sir. I do appreciate it. Thank you, family, for joining me. I'm going to sign out with a different sign out because you're going to see something different from me, where you're going to get more discussions like this. But this will be the last discussion on Financial Literacy 101. I'll be joining the Black Post. The Black Post, look out for the Black Post. And we will be giving messaging and sending messages to people who want it and who will take it. This is the Black Post. Your message has been delivered. I'm out.